It is so difficult to lose a parent. You deal with a range of emotions, and to complicate matters, there are certain practical and legal things that you need to do, some of which have deadlines. Today, we're going to talk about 10 things that you need to do when a parent dies. By necessity, we can't cover every possible scenario that could occur when a loved one dies. For example, in the case of the death of a younger couple, you would need to deal with guardianship issues, but that's a whole nother video for another day. So we're instead going to focus on the perspective of the children when the second of their parents has died. For ease of reference, we're going to talk about that deceased family member or loved one as your parent. We're also assuming that the parent had a trust. If they don't have a trust, many of the things we're going to cover will be similar, but when it comes to dispersal of assets, you'll likely have the extra step of going to court. So with that introduction, let's jump into it. Here are 10 things that you should do when a parent dies. Number 1, take care of your parents' burial needs. I've put this first because it's the first thing that you're going to have to deal with. You'll want to check their documents to see if they have any plots, burial plans with a funeral home, we call that a pre-need arrangement, or any insurance policies that may cover their burial. As part of this process, you will also order death certificates. Typically, when you work with a funeral home, they'll help you order those death certificates. You're going to need at least 10, likely more depending on your parents' assets. You're going to need to file these death certificates with private companies like your parents' bank and other government agencies like the county recorder. In some cases, you will use these documents even years after your parent's death, so make sure that you have a sufficient quantity. Number 2, you will likely need to contact various government agencies to let them know that your parent has died. For example, if they were receiving Social Security, you'll have to contact the Social Security office. If they were receiving VA benefits, you'll have to contact the VA. The longer you wait to resolve this, the more of an issue it can become. Number 3, you will also need to contact private companies like your parents' bank and other financial institutions to inform them of your parents' passing. This would include your parents' life insurance company, your parents' employer, and their credit card providers. One of the primary reasons you contact both government agencies and private companies is to prevent fraud. Number 4, you will need to contact a CPA or accountant. If possible, I would use your parents' CPA that they already have in place, just because they know your parents' financial situation. You may need to file income tax returns for your parents. In some cases, a disclaimer may be appropriate so that property can pass to the next beneficiary in line. Disclaimers must be made within 9 months of your parents' death. Depending on the size of the estate, taxes may be owed and tax returns may need to be filed. You also may need to obtain a tax identification number for the trust. Number 5, meet with a financial advisor to determine the best way to disperse any financial accounts. Please don't liquidate these accounts without first talking with an advisor, as you may incur income tax consequences. Of all the steps in the process so far, this one could have the biggest impact on you as the person potentially inheriting from your parent. Number 6, secure your parents' property. Now, securing the property is really a 2-step process. The first step is making sure that the property is physically secure, locking it up and making sure it's being looked after. The second part of the process is making sure that no one, including family members, can go in and out and take personal items off of the property. If you're the trustee, you'll need to prepare an inventory of your parents' assets. This would not only include personal property, like rings, watches, vehicles, but also includes accounts and real property. I would then set a time for the family to come in together and disperse the personal property. A lot of the contention that can occur within a family can be avoided if everyone knows that the property is secure and that you have a fair way, for example, drawing straws, to disperse the personal property. Number 7, make sure to keep up with bills and any other outstanding debts that may be owed. This includes things like sewer and garbage and other bills. We also want to make sure to keep up on payments like mortgages. We don't want the house being foreclosed on while you're trying to sell it. With larger debts like hospital bills and credit card balances, you'll need to verify that the debt is legitimate before paying it off. Number 8, review your parents' estate planning documents and start dispersing property. As the trustee, These documents are your set of instructions. They should tell you who gets what and who's in charge of dispersing those assets. While you want to disperse money to beneficiaries as soon as possible, it's important to retain some money in trust to pay for things like taxes, ongoing expenses, and any unforeseen costs that may occur. It's a lot easier to hold on to a little bit of money than it is to disperse the money and try to get it back from your siblings. In making disbursements, it's a good idea to have the beneficiaries sign a waiver, acknowledging that you've complied with the terms of the trust and that they're absolving you from liability. Number 9, if there's real estate involved, you'll need to get it on the market. The equity in the home is often the last asset to be dispersed to beneficiaries. I've had clients that have waited well over a year to sell their parents' home because they needed to fix it up to maximize the sale price, or they were waiting for the right season, summer versus winter, for example, to sell the property. Number 10, be transparent. This tip is specifically geared towards the trustee. As the trustee, the best way to avoid problems is to give all beneficiaries full disclosure. You want to keep track on a system where everybody can see the dispersals taking place and the expenses that are being incurred. If you keep track of your expenses as the trustee, including costs that you've fronted, you are less likely to have contention. Hopefully this video has helped you understand the basic steps you will need to take when a parent dies. For more specific questions, talk to an attorney licensed to practice law in the state where your parent resided at the time of death.